Together with Mastercard, Copper90 are proud to bring you this TIFO explainer. Together, we want to explore how far fans would go for their teams. What could possibly motivate supporters to come together days, even weeks before a big game? To spend hours designing, constructing and rehearsing the display of banners, mosaics and pyrotechnics that will only be seen by their fellow fans and the 22 players on the pitch for one tiny blip in time. Some might think this is madness, but in that one priceless moment of unified devotion, as the stars align and the fans demonstrate their unfailing positivity just to give their team that fleeting edge, suddenly it starts to make sense. These banners, mosaics and choreographies are known as TIFOs. Displayed by the most passionate supporters groups, they aim to motivate their players and elevate the role of the 12th man. Often, these displays represent local identity and traditions, serving as a reminder to the players on the pitch of what they represent to the community that supports them. The word TIFO comes from Italian meaning typhus. In 1935, typhus was one of the most tragically familiar diseases in Italy after an outbreak following World War I, one whose symptoms were characterised by emotional outbursts. Not surprisingly then, the newspapers drew parallels between the Sunday seasonal illness of football fans and the symptoms of typhus. As the decades passed, the words entered the Italian vocabulary, and today tifosi, those infected with typhus, simply means fans. Fare il tifo, or doing the typhus, literally means to support. Where fans began to establish organised groups through which they could express their collective identity using chants, flags and banners, which together created massive choreographies, known to the football world today as TIFOs. TIFO making spread across the Western Europe football scene in the 1960s and 70s. Eventually, the ideation and the creation of these choreographies turned hardcore fandom into a 24-hour, 7-day-per-week commitment. The phenomenon quickly crossed the entire world. Now, social media offers the perfect chance to show off your creation, and TIFOs can be found in every corner of the globe. The creation of TIFO is what sets apart the most passionate fans from the rest. For these hardcore fans, this priceless matchday emotion is genuinely measurable by actual science. A 2008 SIRC study on fan passions hooked supporters up to heart monitors. For many, their heart rate was highest not when the goals were flying in, but when they were first there, taking their place in the stands, representing their devotion. Inspiration for a TIFO comes from many sources: anniversaries for clubs, legendary players, or the fan groups themselves, derbies and rivalry games, and perhaps most importantly, ahead of the games on the European stage, in the biggest club tournament on earth, the UEFA Champions League. In the months and weeks ahead of these defining moments, every waking minute is dedicated to planning the TIFO. And it's not only the end product, but the bonds that are created in these moments that serve to reinforce the community that football fandom can build. In fact, it's tradition to burn the TIFO following the match, in order to avoid it being taken by a rival fan group. For supporters groups, this would be the ultimate shame, the equivalent of having a part of your identity stolen, and might even mean your fan group disbanding. Weeks of work are displayed for just minutes, and after the game, disappear faster than a Snapchat story. Fans are constantly honing their expression, learning from each other's techniques and innovations to improve the atmosphere in their grounds. Through the UEFA Champions League, the TIFOs in stadiums like Westfalen in Dortmund and the San Siro in Milan have become legendary. Players, managers and board members come and go, but the fans remain forever. The painstaking process of making and displaying these TIFOs, these messages that will only be seen for a brief moment, appears to many as complete and utter madness. But for a true fan, it's a chance to show their dedicated passion and represent themselves to the world, knowing that despite the game's result, they did everything they could for their club. That is what true fandom is all about. That's priceless.